Thanks for listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, where each week we talk about a free piece or two of technology that you can use in your classroom. I'm your host, Shannon Martin. I'm a middle school teacher, technology, and instructional coach for my district.
And I'm her producer and husband, Fuzz Martin, and I make this show sprout up into your podcast player each and every week.
Well, that's cute.
There were too many garden puns today, and I may have had to do that over, but you won't know that as a listener, so... Here we are talking about something that we do kind of often on the show around this time of year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We talk about gardening things.
Gardening things are ways to get the kids, your students outside and different activities. And it's funny because as we was talking about technology and then we're like, hey, but go outside because, you know, technology travels with you. But it's the time of year where we are all itching to get outside we're at the point where really just kids need to get outside, folks.
Right.
It's May, and I don't know about all of the rest of the educators on the planet, but
you're ready. We're ready
for summer. And I'm not one to do a countdown or any of that kind of stuff, but just the kids they're ready to be outside more and just be doing. And in Wisconsin, because we've had the longest winter ever, and it snowed. Was it last week still? We had snow last week.
Yeah.
So we're over it and want to get outside. So I was digging for fun sites that will...
Digging for fun sites?
I know, right?
Look at you.
I'm doing good.
Yeah. Why don't you come over in this seat?
I was digging around for some fun sites to get kids outside. And I was really excited because this one I can't wait to share with you and another few teachers in my class, in my school district that I know will absolutely love that. So
great.
Our site this week.
Yes. What is it?
There is one that we are featuring. It is called KidsGardening.org.
Okay.
So
KidsGardening.org
is the site. And oh my goodness, there is so many awesome things about this website. So it's Kids Gardening, helping young minds grow. And the whole premise of it is to get kids connected with gardening and nature and activities. And there's lesson plans and grants and all kinds of stuff. But what I appreciate about this site is they have put thought into every child that would be in your classroom.
Okay.
So they have like culturally inclusive garden-based learning. They have webinars to teach a whole collection of different things. They want inclusive learning. They want inclusive gardens. And so I'm going to go through some of the different pieces. They also have like STEAM webinars and just all kinds of cool activities. So when you get to the site, they have the little about section and you can figure all that stuff out. And then what's new, they have different projects that they're kind of working on or different activities that they update. And then the opportunities section, they have those webinars I was mentioning and different events and things that you connect to. There's contests for kids gardening, and there's also grant applications and support, which is always fantastic because we love support for our schools. But the biggest piece is learning tools. So as you're cruising through learning tools, they have activities. And when you click on them, there's like straightforward, like easy activities that are labeled for you by grade level, which is awesome. You can like figure it out right away. It's like mindfulness in the garden, preschool, all the way up through 9-12. They have use garden books as windows and mirrors, and that's preschool through 6-8. So they have like each activity, and then they break it down for how you can use that activity with different grade levels, which I think is huge because trying to find resources that you can apply in different areas or find what fits best for your classroom is always helpful. So they have like, I was reading this one before, easy refrigerator pickles activity.
I had that one open myself.
And I was like, oh man, we are going to make pickled beets this summer. I don't know how this is going to work, but we are going to try it for sure.
We have plenty of mason jars right now, thanks to the sourdough experiments.
Yes. Yes, we do. And they talk about like homemade paper and then hooked on hummingbirds. And for those of you who know, like hummingbird, it's hummingbird, like weeks are coming here where they're cranking through. It's like DIY hydroponics. So I'm just going to click on one so you guys can stop just shouting them at you and actually talk about it a little bit. So you pick the activity, it has all the grade levels listed, and then you click download resource. And once you do that, they do ask for your email the first time, but once you share it with them, they ask if you want their newsletter or not. It's really straightforward. So then it talks about like overview, like what you would do, the background, the ages, what seasons it falls into, and then what kind of light and nutrients you need. So this is great, like sciencey lessons and also just outdoors and learning and getting activities. You can also do this at home or again in your classroom and just do a modified version, do like a class piece together.
Sure.
And so then it connects to all of the different pieces that you're going to need. And there's additional resources that go with it. I did one. There's different growing guides that they have access to as well. So you can design a garden space. Designing garden spaces for youth with autism spectrum disorder. And they have like a whole collection, like according to the 2018 study, of ASD, and it goes through how to set up your garden to make it welcoming for everybody. They reference like the American Horticultural Society and what they suggest and how to pick plants, and then a whole nother list of resources for you as you're going through. There's just so many different cool ways of including everybody as a part of your lesson. So they have lesson plans and then they have activities. Both of those they set up where you kind of download them so you can pick the ones you're interested in. And then you can download them and have access to them as much as you'd like to, which is nice. And there's just large collections of these resources, the objectives, and then some of them even lay out the standards too, depending on what it was. Like they can connect to high school things and stuff like that, which is really cool. Also under learning tools, you'll find there's a curriculum. The curriculum they do ask you to pay for. The rest of these, by the way, are all free. Digging into the soil, there's an activity that you can click on. And then from there, it tells you like lesson plans and gives you more things, how to link to the NGSS science standards.
Okay.
And then with each piece of that, within the lesson, it gives you the summary. So the soil piece is huge. And there is it's a full on unit. Yeah. It's not just 1 or 2 lessons. It's actually 10 lessons and how to lay it out. And it goes from, all the way up through, it's got the high school standards linked right in there. So it goes from younger students to older students, more focused actually on middle school, high school for the soil project, which is cool, or digging into the soil. They also have resources in Spanish, which is always appreciated, and just so many cool different things. You can design a school garden. And I'm excited because our ag department received a grant last year in a little plot of land that's next to our school. And they are starting a vegetable garden that then our FFA kids take care of all summer. And so we have a vegetable garden at our school too now, which is cool.
That's very
cool. So we have chickens and we have a vegetable garden.
Though the school down the road from you has cows, so
it does, and they have visiting pigs on occasion too.
Yeah.
We do not.
And we 7 miles south of there are city folk, so we also don't.
So yeah, we get a lot of cool things around us too. And then they have garden basics and they have growing guides. So there's I was amazed at how many resources are here. I thought, if there's a handful of gardening activities and new things, just as like planting grass in a pot and watching it grow, or planting potatoes, or I gave a half an onion to our ag teacher and I was like, here, grow this. And there's an onion growing in the ag class. Like there is so much more here. And teaching about like compost and the best crops for hydroponics and just carnivorous plants, which I think are fascinating. They just have all kinds of awesome resources to kind of get your kids into gardening. They can putz around with it, find an activity that they might just be interested in and rolling out some sort of project. Or as a class, you could do something or have them investigate, or even just give this as a resource to kids like, hey, over the summer, if you want to try out some cool things, I would love to see, or start a Flipgrid, like a little class blog on having them do different gardening activities. There's just so many different ways you can build these into your classroom and get the kids outside and also teaching them some cool things that are very relevant, because if we aren't gardening, we're not going to have food.
It's a pretty big site. I mean, there's tons of content. It's also has some pretty big backers like Ball Horticultural and Scott's Miracle Grow. And like, I don't know, 50 others, probably maybe not 50, but a lot of others that have.
You are a turf guy.
I am a turf guy. Mm-hmm. So, but it's cool that they're like Gardener Supply Company and all those are helping me keep this going. And it's a really nice, well done site that has a ton of tools that are accessible and easy to use.
Mm-hmm. And they also ask for donations too. Like if you're going to be using all these things, like they ask if a little donation pop-up kind of comes across.
Sure.
Which I always think is like, helpful. You obviously don't have to donate. We appreciate free things, but also there's a little donation if you'd like to.
Yeah.
Support the cause.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think we might make some plant people too, because those look adorable. Do you see them? They're like little seed heads, and you plant grass and then put eyeballs on them and then give them haircuts.
That's fun.
Because clearly
I did see they had living plant dioramas, and there's so many different activities.
Grow your own salad. Yes.
Yeah. Love it.
Topic: edibles and nutrition. There you go. We're going to grow salad and we're going to eat it, and it's going to be amazing. And we're going to report out to everybody on the podcast. So just you wait.
We used to have grass growing contests at work, and it was fun.
Well, maybe you need to start that back up again.
And get some tall fescue. It's hard now. I suppose we could still do it now that we're hybrid, because
then people could grow from their like window boxes.
Yeah. And the people without windows wouldn't be at a disadvantage, because they most likely have a window at home. There
you go. See?
Love it.
Gardening.
We're going to make this happen.
Go outside and grow something.
Grow, get it.
Yeah.
Can I just keep going? No? Okay.
No, we're good though. Episode 121.
121.
Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast. If you ever have any questions, you can find me on Twitter @SmartNWI. And if you want to get more information and the links to the technology discussed in this episode, visit smartnwi.com. If you'd like to support the show, please consider buying me a coffee or two. Visit buymeacoffee.com/smartnwi or visit smartnwi.com and click on the cute little purple coffee cup. Your donations help keep this show going. New episodes each week. Thanks for listening. Go educate and innovate.
The ideas and opinions expressed on this podcast and the Smart NWI website are those of the author, Shanna Martin, and not of her employer. Prior to using any of the technologies discussed on this podcast, please consult with your employer regulations. This podcast offers no guarantee that these tools will work for you as described, but we sure hope they do. And we'll talk to you next time on the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast.